Just a quick message today. Um, a couple of days ago, we had the memorial service for my brother who passed, and I was asked to speak, and was honored to speak, and things that I spoke about about for my brother was qualities that I saw in my brother, and being as I've known him a long time, and quite well, I got to see these qualities, and I mean, we all have the qualities I'm about to speak of, and even though maybe sometimes we don't realize it, or we don't see them, or we don't acknowledge them in ourselves or others, a couple of the qualities that I saw in my brother were courage, generosity, gratitude. I think faith is a quality. Love, and there were there were others, but I just wanted to bring these up because these are qualities I think we all aspire to or wish we had, and yet sometimes we find ourselves focusing on other things that are happening in our life, fear and judgment of ourselves and those things, and complaint, oh, um, you know, resentment, and it's interesting that how do we live in courage, generosity, gratitude, love, faith? How do we live in those when we need to focus on those? And for my friends in recovery, what is recovery? I mean, recovery is living in those qualities. Recovery has nothing to do whether we have a job or, those kind of things. It has to do with, our being, how we are, and how we see ourselves, I guess. And if we can see those qualities in ourselves, they get magnified. So think of ourselves, think of yourself if you can, with some humility, as generous, as courageous, as loving, as grateful. Imagine yourself as those things. And my brother did those well. He had lots of challenges, lots of opportunity to be courageous in his life, like many of us do, and he had opportunities to be generous, and certainly with me, he was he was very generous and very caring and loving, and kind with his time, and I'm going to miss him. There's no question. And so I encourage us to, how I think about these things a lot, all the time. What does recovery look like for us that are recovering addicts or alcoholics? How did we get to be an addict or an alcoholic? Well, we were so deep in the other side of things, if you will, fear and guilt and shame, and anger and complaint, and what about me? And just the one thing that I think that can shift the whole thing, everything, into this higher vibration of loving life, is a relationship with this universal intelligence or consciousness, is seeking this relationship, seeking presence, seeking love, not outside of us, but in the inward journey. Know thyself, and take the time to settle down and stop. It's one of the things my brother did through his life. Lots of the things that he did were solo. He had lots of time with family, but he did a lot of solo things. He ran marathons. He bicycled long distances. He farmed. Farming is good for the soul, and sit in the tractor or be with the cows, and Those things are things where we get to experience ourselves by ourselves, and to feel the presence of this whole thing. Where are we now in this beautiful presence? So my encouragement is that to all of us, that our preference, every man, woman, and child that I've spent time with, when I ask about purpose, it's always to serve. Everybody wants to serve. And how do we serve? Well, we serve by, we have to be courageous and generous and considerate and loving, grateful, and serving is, is how can I serve thee? How can I be of service? And my prayer every day, and I believe my brother's prayer every day, was to make a difference and to serve others. So that's it. I'm going to miss him, heck, and he, what a beautiful service, and I'm so grateful my kids came in. I have 3 lovely human beings that call me dad, and just to see how sometimes life can unfold in such a pleasing, beautiful way when we have things just we can live in such sweetness, and my kids flew in from away, one from the West Coast, one from the East, and my son Luke, who lives here, was very involved in this whole last little while, going through what we're going through, with the passing of my brother. And it was beautiful to see them in service, see them, living those qualities that we just talked about. So grateful for that. So, as we share love and with each other, and our, our faith with each other, and our gratitude with each other, it's contagious. It really is contagious. So out there today, tell somebody you love them, right? Listen. Listening is loving, Express your gratitude, right? Speak to somebody that sometimes we haven't spoken to. Pick up the phone, have the courage to call and just ask how somebody is. Share your love that way. Yeah, that's it. Be here now. It's all happening right now, in this moment. And that practice of exploring the moment, because all of this stuff I'm talking about is in the moment, right now. And as we practice courage, we're present, right? As we practice these things, we're very here. Okay, love you guys so much. Thanks, appreciate you. Bye.